Hey everybody, this is Efti with Close, and today I want to share some ideas and tips on how to communicate effectively in a remote team during a crisis, right? So obviously a lot of you are forced to transition to a work from home setup. And as you do so, your company has effectively become a distributed company, distributed team in a fully remote setup. So how do you deal with it? Well, one of your biggest tools to coordinate, to manage, and to execute during this time is going to be effective communication. So let's go through a couple of things that we've learned over many, many years of being and running a remote team that hopefully are going to serve you well during this challenging time. The first and most important principle is over communication. People have been asking me for ages, what's the difference between running a remote team versus running an on-site team? And I've always told people that, the basic principles are always the same. The fundamentals never change, but the amount of slack you get, the amount of laziness you can have is greatly diminished when you're remotely because you're flying quote unquote blind, right? If I walk into an office and I can see everybody in a team that's working together, even when nobody is speaking, everybody is communicating 24/7, right? Just by their body language, just by their facial expression, I can see that somebody is worried at their desk, or I could see that somebody is stressed at their desk. None of them has to speak up and say, hey, I'm worried, or hey, I'm stressed, I need help. But I could just tell by quote unquote the energy in the room. I can see if the energy is buzzing, if people are in the zone, if they're smiling, if they're upbeat, if they're determined, or I can see if they're deflated, anxious, depressed, low energy, angry, pissed, distracted. I don't have those benefits when everybody works remotely. I don't see people, I don't hear people unless they speak up and communicate and do so in writing in most cases, right? So the tool to really excel is to learn and practice over communication, right? So that means that you as a leader need to communicate and communicate and communicate again and again and again and again what is going on, what the priorities are, and what decisions have to be made and were just made. You have to over communicate. You have to check in with people if you want to know how they're doing, and you have to ask them the right questions. You can't be lazy and expect, well, if somebody has a problem, they can speak up. Those are adults. No, they can't. Just assume they can't. It has nothing to do with being an adult or not. It has everything to do with the culture that you have within the team. And if people have the competence and the habit, the muscle memory of communicating precisely and directly when they need help or when something is going on with them. So you just have to assume that people don't, so you have to make it easy for them. It's your responsibility as a leader and as a company to check in with people, to stimulate conversations, to clarify the decision-making process. A lot of times, even if there's a virtual meeting, and this goes also for physical meetings, but people will come together, they'll discuss and debate something, and then the time is over, 30 minutes are done, we have to jump to another call or whatever, and it's not crystal clear what we have decided. It's not crystal clear what I have to do now or how I have to adjust. So making sure that you summarize meetings, summarize decision-making, clarify with people, and then you repeat, that you check in with people, ask them specifically what they're doing and how they're doing, how you can support them. Check in and ask them personally how things are going. All this is going to be incredibly important. And one other tool to keep in mind when we think about over communication is tightening the cycles, right? Especially during a crisis, you cannot be checking in once a month or once a quarter if that was your typical cadence. Right now, you're going to have to check in daily or weekly at the most. You can't have 2 weeks go by. Think about last week. Last week was a hell of a year, right? Like, things are changing at such a rapid rate around the world right now that you cannot make decisions for the next 2 weeks and then think if everybody's quiet, they're all doing well, they're all focused, they're all executing, and the plans that we made 7 days ago, 14 days ago are still the best plans because obviously everything is so stable, right? That's not going to work. So you have to tighten up your meeting schedules and cadences and cycles and your decision-making cycles, right? So if you used to have one meeting every month, now you might want to have one a week, right? If you had checked in with your team once a week, maybe you want to do it twice a week now, right? And if it goes even crazier, maybe daily. But you have to tighten the cycles of your communication, and you have to check in with people a lot more frequently, right? That's super, super important. All right, the next thing is you have to be honest, you have to be clear, and you have to be human. And here's what I mean by that. First of all, you need to realize that you need to be honest with people, especially during this challenging time, and give them the truth. If people don't trust you during a crisis, they will not want to listen to you. Even when you speak, they won't pay attention. And even if you give them directive, they won't trust it. So they will ask themselves, can I really follow this advice? Can I really, do what this person has told me to do or not? And that's ultimately an incredibly painful thing. And you're going to realize and recognize it much, much later, because you're not going to instantly see on everybody's faces, maybe your body language, in the same way that you would be able to get that information if you were sitting in the same room and you could tell that there's some doubt, the energy in the room is not really fully paying attention, giving you all the attention, that people don't really fully agree or believe what you're saying. So when things go really, really tough, people appreciate honesty, because honesty will make people believe you. When you say things are good, they'll trust you, because before you said things are bad. And what you said, you lived up to and you acted on. If you're telling people, don't worry, everything is good, but your actions speak panic while your words speak everything is calm, people will detect that incongruency, and they will then decide that no information and no directive you're giving them is to be trusted. And that's really a death sentence for the productivity and collaboration of any team. You have to be crystal clear. You can't be wishy-washy, especially during a crisis. You need to give specific, clear instructions. This is the decision, this is what we're doing, not maybe we should be doing something in that area. Maybe we should be is not a clear, concise communication, it's not a clear direction. Maybe we should be doing this. You end that video call with your 3 team members. One of them thinks, maybe we shouldn't. The other one thinks, I should start working on this. And you maybe think, well, I'm going to wait for them to give me other suggestions because I really think that this idea is not the best. That's why I didn't tell them to do it. Like, everybody can make their own conclusions and come up with their own interpretations. This is not a time for people to have a variety of interpretations about what needs to take place and what actions to take. You need to communicate clearly. If at the end of the meeting there's no decision, say, we have not made a decision. So when are we going to make a decision? So what does that mean for all our plans? Are we just going ahead as we've said yesterday, or do we need to change something right now? And if you expect people to come back with ideas or to act on something that you're not quite sure of, you need to communicate that. You need to say, maybe we should do this. I'm not quite clear, but unless anybody else says something smarter or has a better suggestion right now, this is what we're going to do. Does anybody have ideas? No? Cool. If we do this, how do we approach it? How do we check in to make sure that it's the right approach? How do we correct when we're wrong? What does that mean for the next day and the next couple of days for every one of you? You go through the line. Person A, what are you going to do based on this decision? Person B, what do you think your priority should be based on this decision? Here's what I think I need to do. Let's all get on the same page. And then be human. During crisis, there's going to be problems that affect work that have nothing to do with work, right? People will have family issues. People will get sick. People will have internal conflicts. People are going to be challenged with doubts, with fears, with problems that are not necessarily part of the project that you're managing in Asana or a team meeting that you're having in Zoom or your email inbox. You won't know these things. So you have to check in. One thing that we did recently is we started meetings within our director syncs with everybody giving a quick personal update. Hey, I'm really worried about my mother. She's not listening to me right now. She's traveling. She's doing X, Y, Z. I'm calling her every day. This is really stressing me out right now. Everything else is stable and under control for me. The next person in the meeting, well, I just bought a house. We're moving the next 2 days. This is going to be a really challenging time for me. The next person's like, I'm stable. Everything is good. Right now, I'm not feeling any effects. That level of humanity allows all of us to understand what the challenge are, what the context is within these people that are doing the work. and how their lives might affect their work or vice versa. And it allows us to support each other. And at the lowest level, it allows us to feel connected and cared for, which will make a big difference in people's performance during a crisis. You want to be closer. You want to be closer to your people, as I've talked about, over communicating, tightening the cycles, being honest, being clear, being human. But you also want to be closer to your customers and your market, right? So now is the time to really put a megaphone around anybody in the company that interacts every day with customers. For me, what that means, I'm the CEO of my business, but all of a sudden I'm checking in on the sales pipeline things, and I want to hear what are prospects telling us, why they're buying, why they're not buying right now, what are their fears, what are their doubts. I'm checking in on the support things. Hey, what kind of support tickets are we getting? What are the most problems that people have on support? I'm checking on the success team, how are our accounts being managed? I'm just send out an email, if you're a customer, you receive that, offering my help to all of our customers, giving you the chance to fill out a little form and tell me exactly what your problems are so I can address them, I can help you with them. You want to be closer to your customers, not further apart. You can't be so overwhelmed in this crisis that you're like, well, I don't have the time right now to be doing calls or answering support tickets. I'm dealing with all these other problems. And your team members that are in the front lines talking to customers and prospects in the market every single day, they observe changes in the world, they observe trends, they observe obstacles, but they don't have the decision-making power to make strategy changes. And the people at the top in the company and the leaders of each teams are disconnected from those conversations. You want the entire company needs to go much closer to the customer to really understand how the customer's problems are changing every single day, how their sentiment is changing, what their world looks like, so you can serve them better. You need to be transparent and practice transparency. And this is difficult if you've not done it before. This is probably going to be almost impossible if you have not done it before. But the more transparent you are, we publish all our financial numbers within anybody in the company, so people know how things look. When people know how things look and when there's transparency on certain important metrics throughout the entire business, people can make better decisions and people have more peace of mind because they know what is going on, if things are going well or if they're not going well, if things are trending in a better direction or in a worse direction. People know what's going on. That empowers them, especially in a remote team, to make better individual decisions every single day. And then for some of you that are brand new on this and are super anxiety ridden with like, how do I know that people will work? This is one of the most asked things that I have from CEOs that just moved their entire team remotely, and it breaks my heart to a certain extent, is they're asking, how can I ensure that people are really working? And it's a bummer of a question for me. It's human, I understand it, and if you have that question, I don't want to criticize you right now. You have enough on your plate, but honestly, like what I was answering to CEOs that would ask me this question months ago, because I've been hearing this question for years since I've been running a remote team, I would always tell them the goal needs to be to hire people that are so trustworthy, people that love their work so much that your biggest worry is that people overwork themselves, not underwork themselves. This is a situation that I have been in for many, many years now in this company. I'm more worried that people work too much than they work too little. But if you are worried, you need to let go of that worry right now. Right now is not the time to be micromanaging everybody, to have these crazy directives that tell people that they have to Slack chat you when they have to take a bathroom break. You're just gonna make people resent you. You'll make people wanna lie to you because they feel controlled. And by the end of the day, the beauty of remote work is that you don't care when and how people work, you care more about what their work product is and what the results are that they're driving. And in these times where people have their children at home, where they have anxiety, where there are real health issues we're in the middle of a global pandemic, this is not the time to be checking in on people every single minute and trying to control them. Over-communicate, be transparent about the results that everybody is driving in the company. And transparency is really a beautifully self-correcting system, because if everybody in the team sees what everybody is accomplishing, it's much harder for me to be the one that's not doing anything effective, since everybody can see. All right, I know that you have many more questions on how to effectively communicate during a crisis like this, and especially remotely. Send me an email, stelly@close.com, with any questions you have, any help you need. I'm there for you. We are there for you from Close. And until next time, take care of yourself, stay healthy, and let's go get them.